Hi, welcome to my video presentation of my final project for educational procedures for moderate and profound disabilities. This class is part of the Master of Special Education program through Arkansas State University. My name is Michelle Ryan, and I am presenting a functional reading lesson plan. So I wanted to explain a little bit to you about the kind of students that I teach during the school year. I teach students with intellectual disability, autism, orthopedic impairment, multiple disabilities, other health impairment, emotional disability, hearing impairment, and combinations of those disabilities. The classroom that I teach is a self-contained classroom for reading and for math and social skills. Um, for science and social studies, my students go to a general education class, which is an inclusion program, so to allow them to learn the general education curriculum from a content specialist with paraprofessional support, and also have access to their same age general education peers. So this particular lesson is a vocabulary lesson that I would teach in a self-contained small group setting, including station rotations. I'll explain more on that later. In this lesson, students will learn to apply their knowledge of functional words to show meaning by completing sentences that the teacher created. By learning new vocabulary, the students will be preparing to demonstrate the Aligned Standard of Learning, the ASOL, for their grade level. The particular ASOL that I chose is for 6th and 7th grade reading. The ASOLs are a part of the Virginia Alternative Assessment Program, and all students in my class participate in this portfolio-based assessment that is supposed to be aligned with the standards of learning from the Department of Education in Virginia. The aligned standard that I chose was the student will seek clarification and meaning support when unfamiliar words are encountered while reading by using word reference materials. That is the aligned standards that we will have to prove in a portfolio. But to get there, we're going to build the vocabulary skills and learn how to use reference materials. So students will demonstrate an understanding of reading comprehension after instruction, and they will specifically be focused on functional vocabulary words. The formative assessments collected during and after instruction and during the maintenance and generalization trials that students will perform during and after instruction will also reinforce the understanding of these new content words. They will help students make progress on their annual goals and objectives for reading, communication, and social skills. In this lesson, students will learn new words related to grocery shopping. While students in 6th and 7th grade in the general education class learn content words at a much higher level, students with significant cognitive disabilities do not have many of the foundational skills necessary to acquire the vocabulary. So it's important that they learn and be able to demonstrate functional life skills, especially if they want positive post-secondary outcomes. So functional skills are important for these students to learn and practice. And so the content vocabulary words will be focused on grocery shopping to improve and increase those skills. This allows for students also to have opportunities to generalize their new vocabulary within multiple settings. So for instance, their home setting, not just the school setting, the home setting, and the community setting as well. The visual supports that I use during instruction are very critical for the students that I teach. There's a variety of visuals that I use that would be supporting behavior, that would be supporting appropriate classroom uh, uh, behavior skills, visual supports for also for the actual content, so for the vocabulary. And I just wanted to show you a few of the visuals that I use, and I would use pre, during, and post this lesson, delivering this lesson. The first thing that I might use is a daily schedule, visual schedule for a student. It has an AM and PM side, and it has middle school appropriate pictures for the student to look and see what they might need for the day. This is for a student who doesn't require many supports. They can look at their visual schedule and they kind of know what their schedule is going to be. They can refer back to the schedule throughout the day. For a student who needs a little bit more focus during the actual instruction, I have another type of visual that I use: first, next, then, and last. So they start with first and they get to last. And as you can see, there's break time at the end. Another visual schedule that a student might use is this kind of a token board where you can remove the pieces and add them on throughout the instruction. Some students can use these for like a 5-minute intervals. Some can go longer. Again, the preferred activity is at the top so they can kind of see what they're working for. For a student who's really struggling to stay on task and maintain focus during the lesson, it's going to have to be broken up into sections and manageable chunks that the student can tolerate. I use this type of visual for those students. So they start with 3 and they complete one activity or one chunk of the task and they can close that window. And then they have 2 more and they can really clearly see that they only have 2 more. They complete the second one and then they see that they only have 1 more. And after that is completed, they've earned their preferred item. The next level up is using this with a 5 tiers. And then once you've able to progress from this, you can move right into this token board. So it's like a level of progression based on the student's needs. And these are some of the types of behavioral visual supports that I would use. I would also use social stories to prepare the student to work, having a calm body, listening ears, quiet voice. During the instruction, visual supports are also necessary. And I just wanted to show you some of the vocabulary words we would start with by pairing the picture and the word. So these are some of the vocabulary words that we'll use during this lesson. And it's really important for the student to see not just the picture, but the word as well, because the idea is to eventually fade the picture so that you just use the word and they know the word. Some students will not be able to do that though, and they will always need the word and picture. Here's another one: basket. And so these words and the pictures will be used in the word wall, which is a really important reference material for the students as they build their content vocabulary over the course of the year. Some of these words will be added to the word wall so they can refer to them when they're completing their activity. So this lesson benefits in the student learners by allowing them giving them the ability to identify new vocabulary words and add to their functional vocabulary. By being able to apply the vocabulary, they're working on those higher level thinking skills. So in applying them in different contexts, for instance, filling in sentences, but then also being able to do it and generalize it in the community setting is important as well, not just in the classroom. Fill-ins are also an interverbal if they're used during expressive communication opportunities. They're also a huge component of the verbal behavior milestones assessment and placement program, which is the VB-MAP. It's a test that teachers give their students with communication and social deficits to kind of find out where they are and where they can support them within programming, where their strengths and weaknesses lie. And interverbals are a huge portion of this test. So fill-ins are very important for students with communication issues to learn and to be able to use fluently. This vocabulary also targets skills that these kids are going to need to know for life activities when they go grocery shopping or when they are cooking or at home. So it supports throughout the lesson, it's going to support not just their academic goals, but there's some communication goals and social goals as well. There is an opportunity for peer mediation and support activities as a component of the lesson plan. And in practicing these vocabulary words, they're playing a game. So they're working on those interverbal skills with peers, but also asking and answering questions and taking turns. So the vocabulary increase also supports their opportunities for understanding and interacting with their environments. And so again, not just in school, but also at home as well. Finally, data taken from the formative assessments will be used to drive future instruction. Students may require remediation and multiple exposures to this vocabulary in order to increase accuracy. In addition, students will add to their word walls. And like I was saying earlier, word walls are really important reference source to learn vocabulary. And in trying to meet the requirements for this objective, the ASOL for the Virginia Aligned, for the VAP assessment, excuse me, it does have while reading by using word reference materials. So the idea is to teach them how to use a word wall to refer to their vocabulary, then transfer that skill to a picture dictionary, and then it's sort of this lesson is sort of a building block to eventually collect the data that collect the be able to demonstrate that the students know how to do this ASOL and put it in their portfolio. One other way that I do teach in my classes, I use station rotations. So I divide the students into different groups and I group them based on a number of different things, whether that's, behavior or their level of ability. And we do station rotations. So there's an initial kind of whole group hook learning where they're going to get the hook and they're going to get interested in what we're learning about. And then we move into the teacher-led instruction, and then there's different groups. So there's at the same time there's the teacher-led instruction, then there's the guided practice activities with the paraprofessional, and then there's one student doing independent practice. So the independent practice is going to be pretty much laptop interactive games, and there's a number of different grocery store games. There's also apps on the iPad that they practice their vocabulary skills. So they would be doing that, and then we switch. We have a number, we'll do that for 10 minutes, and then we switch. So that everybody gets through all those rotations. They get the teacher-led, guided practice, and independent practice. And then after that is when we do the peer mediation and supports part of the instruction, and formative assessments are collected throughout. At the end of the lesson, after the students have moved through all four pieces of the lesson plan, there is a formative assessment given where they will have to complete a fill-in sentence activity. And then using that data, we do review and remediation for however long the student needs before they're able to provide the appropriate accuracy, whether that's 75% or 80%. So I hope that you've enjoyed this quick presentation about my lesson. Thank you very much. Have a good weekend.